As the body gets rid of what is trapped inside, noises may be emitted from your mouth as air escapes. Nurses and people working close to dead bodies have regularly reported hearing very alive-sounding moans and groans coming from dead bodies.
If you haven't already, make sure you check out my live streams. That is on Twitch and on my other YouTube channel where I post gaming content. Also, I have a Patreon that I post more content to that you haven't seen if you haven't joined.
So I've been treating my breast cancer with sugar pills?
Yeah, you didn't think it was weird your chemo drugs were chewable?
No, little kids get cancer.
Oh, they do.
Well, what about the intravenous drug?
Today, I'm going to be reacting to what happens when you die.
What happens when you finally kick the bucket, so to speak? Despite our mostly science-grounded views on death these days, it seems many of us believe in life after it. In 2014, UK citizens were polled by The Telegraph, and just under 60% of respondents said they believe some part of us lives on.
60% of British people believe in afterlife. Some type of afterlife? Like any type of heaven and hell, or reincarnation?
In the US, still a very Christian nation, Pew Research in 2015 asked people what happened after you die. The survey found that 72% of Americans believed you go to heaven, which was described as a place where people who have led good lives are eternally rewarded. 54% of US adults replied that they believed in hell, which was described as a place where people who have led bad lives and die without being sorry are eternally punished.
Very interesting to already point out as well that more people believe in heaven than people who believe in hell. Might believe that a lot of that goes together typically, but that's a really large percentage of people. 72% of people in America believe in heaven and 54% of Americans believe in hell. That's almost 20% of people who do believe in heaven but don't believe in hell.
Physicians know you're dead because the heart stops beating and there is no longer any electrical activity in your brain. Brain death equals dead, although machines can keep you going a little bit longer. You can also have what's called a cardiac death, which means the heart stops beating and blood no longer flows through your body.
Scary in itself to think about, because way in the past when people had less technology and understanding of different states that the body or people could be in, like comas, a lot of people were buried while they were actually still alive. They'd wake up later, maybe most of them could be chalked up as comas. They'd wake up and they would be in a coffin underground. And for whatever reason, not exactly sure why, some of those coffins would be retrieved and there would be a lot of scratch marks on them. So that's horrifying to think that these people didn't die other than the fact that people buried them when they weren't dead, because they thought that they were dead, so then they died. What a horrible way to die. It even got to the point where I think it was so bad that they had these little strings that would go into the coffin and come all the way up and sit in the dirt at the top of the grave with a little bell on it. So if somebody did wake up, they could ring the bell. And whatever grave keeper, person walking around, if you hear a bell and it's not from like an animal, it's like the sign to unbury the person. Anyways, yeah, scary to think about all the people in the past who weren't actually dead, but were probably thought to be dead just because their body was in a very odd, unknown state of being that people didn't understand.
The strange, even wonderful thing is, people that have suffered cardiac death but have been brought back to life have said they were aware of what was going on around them. Others have talked about walking towards a light in such a near-death experience. You can be brought back from what we call clinical death, but you only have a grace period of about 4 to 6 minutes. But let's say you get to the light and pass through. This is what we call biological death. Game over, the final whistle, dead as a dodo.
Interestingly, that's more time than would have imagined. 4 to 6 minutes, especially in that state when you're trying to bring somebody back, has to feel like forever. And even more so if those people come back and they claim, I was pretty aware, well, I was more aware of what you might think that I was. Your brain shutting down right before death, or acknowledging that it is dying, it does replay everything that it can in its mind that you've experienced, the best that it can, in a tiny, short amount of time. Saw somewhere that it might have been a reason for survival because it's its last effort that it can do on its own to try to survive. So it's maybe looking for something over all of the replays. Your whole life flashed before your eyes, looking for something that can save you from the situation. So that experience can look like a flash of light, or that could be what people are experiencing.
This is where it gets kind of undignified, but what do you care? You're dead. Once you're definitely no longer with us, your muscles relax, and this means your sphincter will too, meaning that triple whopper and large fries you had for lunch will spill out of you. The gas you have in you may also leak out and cause a stink. The same goes for the pee you've got in your bladder, so dying, not surprisingly, is a bit of a messy affair.
Yikes. Gonna make so many people self-conscious about, darn, I hope that doesn't happen to me when I die. Again, he makes a good point though, what do you care, you're dead? But yeah, kind of interesting to think about. Typically that is, yeah, unless you're completely unlikely empty, something's probably gonna happen. Yikes. Remember seeing somewhere that maybe I follow actually this woman on some type of platform. I haven't seen her videos in a long time now that I think about it. But she works at is it a morgue? Yeah. Well, people have reported that whenever you cremate bodies, because of what it does to their muscles, sometimes people have looked as if they try to sit up.
And men, you might even ejaculate. As for women, you may give birth after you have died if you were pregnant, which is something called coffin birth. It doesn't happen often though. Instead of pushing, it's the gases in the abdomen that squeeze the newborn into the world. As the body gets rid of what is trapped inside, noises may be emitted from your mouth as air escapes. Nurses and people working close to dead bodies have regularly reported hearing very alive-sounding moans and groans coming from dead bodies. You may twitch, but this doesn't mean there is life in you, these are just muscle contractions. You could also soon get an erection if you died lying.
Never heard that before, maybe because not a man. Yep, must have missed that in some of the other videos.
You could also soon get an erection if you died lying on your stomach and the blood flowed down there. All your blood will pool to a certain area of your body. This is called livor mortis, and it's the reason parts of you will have that dark purple color you have seen on TV. These are the lovely things that can happen quite shortly after you go. With no blood flowing through your body, it will begin to cool down, known as algor mortis, or simply death chill. It will keep cooling until it is the same temperature as your surroundings. You will become stiff within about 2 to 6 hours, and this we call rigor mortis. This is because calcium is getting into your muscle cells. Cells break down without blood flow, and this leads to bacteria growth, and that's why you start to decompose.
Don't know lots of the things and terms that he's been explaining, but did know about rigor mortis, the body getting stiff after death, mostly because it clearly happens to animals if you ever come across one in the wild that passed away. Didn't know the thing about the specific calcium aspect as to why it does that, but that also makes sense because I know your nails are made of calcium, and believe I've seen somewhere that your nails will even grow, or your hair can still grow after death because those things can kind of just continue on because of calcium.
You may look like your hair or your nails have grown, but that isn't the case. What is happening is that your skin is receding, giving the impression of growth. The skin will loosen too, and blisters will appear on the body. The next stage is putrefaction, when bacteria and microorganisms start feasting on you. You'll soon start to stink as bad as anything you could have imagined while you were alive. One person described the smell as rotten eggs, feces, and a used toilet left out for a month times 1,000. It is unholy. Soon everything that is soft becomes liquefied, with things like bones, cartilage, and hair remaining strong. You're already well on your way to decomposing by the time you are being put in the ground, but if embalmed and buried, decomposition could be a slow process. Left above ground, you'll be a liquefied mess within about a month, feasted on by insects, maggots, plants, and animals.
Unfortunate to think about the people who can't make it to their loved ones' bodies in time, or they can't make the decision for them to be embalmed. Heard of a situation where the body was a bit too far gone for them to really have what they would have been comfortable with as far as caskets go, so they ended up being cremated. Would imagine that happens to lots of people considering how often people die.
Underground, some experts say it might take 8 to 12 years before you are reduced to nothing but a skeleton. After around 50 years, even your bones will become part of the earth. We should add the rate of decomposition depends
50?
on all manner of factors, too many to list here, but we think you get the picture. While some people report that their near-death experience was a scene to behold, that's not always the case. One person writing on Reddit said his experience was as follows. It was just black emptiness, no thoughts, no consciousness, nothing. Is there really something else? French philosopher René Descartes believed the soul was separate from the body, as many religions will tell you, and perhaps when we die, something lingers on.
Yes, lots of different experiences from people who have experienced near death or technical death. Of course, you've heard lots of people all agree, oh yeah, you go towards light. And if you're already religious, you have this preemptive idea of what happens after death. Believe it's even easier to believe what you think that you saw because of your prior beliefs to the situation. This is going to lean a little bit more to, oh, well, that would make sense because I believe in heaven. So light, death, I'm a good person. That's probably what I saw. Curious if some people think that would be dreamlike. Like time clearly doesn't feel the same and you're alive, but dreaming and being asleep feels nothing like being awake. So you do exist somehow, but not in a way that we can perceive.
Friedrich Nietzsche talked about the concept of eternal recurrence, or eternal return, meaning all existence or energy in the universe has forever and will forever keep repeating itself ad infinitum. You live the same life again and again forever. Now, doesn't that make you want to live well? Here we can make similarities to the Buddhist belief of the Wheel of Samsara, wherein all souls or lives will begin a cycle again after death, except not the same exact life.
Yeah, if you live a good life, rather than going to heaven, maybe you'll be reincarnated into somebody who had a better life than you, somebody who has more love in their life, somebody who has less illnesses, somebody who loses less of their loved ones, somebody who has more money, more wealth, all sorts of things. Maybe somebody who even has a longer life if that's what you long for. Maybe somebody who had success having kids, got that job. It could be little or big. But somebody who had a bad life could be reduced to being reincarnated as a bug. Something that doesn't live very long. It's a pretty harsh life. Lots of struggle. Something like that. Of course, the idea of reincarnation, but it's as yourself over and over again, and it's the same life, does feel similar, because I guess it's all kind of reincarnation, but that one sounds different because it's the same thing. So time isn't moving in a direction where you're reincarnated as something else a few years after you were gone. Like time's still moving in that one, I would imagine. But in this one, it's like time doesn't really exist. You just kind of go back and restart your life over again because you're the same energy. You died, but then you're reborn as the same thing. At the same time?
Something we call reincarnation, which some people say is connected to what we sometimes call deja vu. Buddhists believe we can end this vicious cycle if we can become truly enlightened, therefore achieving nirvana. Or do we make our way to heaven after our bodies stop working, tipping our cap to St. Peter at the pearly gates, hoping he won't deny us entrance for stealing that candy bar when we went on a school trip to Niagara Falls? Will we be taken into paradise, a place replete with excellent foods and gorgeous maidens that make your dead knees go weak?
It's very interesting to see how some of these ideas and beliefs get so specific. Some people have it on, not on lock. Some people have it down, like they feel genuinely, oh, this is going to happen, and then I'm going to meet this person, this saint. This is the routine that you have to go through or procedure. And then after this happens, then you get to go in. This is who you'll, and it's like a whole, you've imagined all of it, you've played it out in your head. And then some other people are, well, I am religious and I do believe in this religion, but it slightly differs within the same group of people that believe in what you believe. You might imagine it's still slightly different from what they imagine it as. I wonder if some of the people who didn't technically claim or get jotted down as believing in hell but believing in heaven are some of the same people, or overlap with some of the same people, who believe that the hell equivalent would be you're just left here. Like if you die, then you're maybe not looked at as the word ghost, but you stay on earth. So you don't go to hell, technically, but you do exist, you just don't go to heaven. So those people believe in heaven, but they don't technically believe in hell. They just believe that you exist and you don't get to go to heaven. So you continue to live on earth and no one can see you. Maybe that's more like ghost or something.
Will we be taken into paradise, a place replete with excellent foods and gorgeous maidens that make your dead knees go weak? Or will we simply seed the earth, our souls nothing more than a worldly fancy that took our minds off our cosmic insignificance and the feeling of futility that we sometimes experience here on terra firma?
Well, it was an interesting video. Something to think about. Something that people probably do think about often. Not too much, hopefully, because then you're not really paying attention to living if you think about death so much. But especially if you have somebody around you pass, probably kind of pops back up in your head a bit during that time, thinking about, well, where did they go? And will I see them again if they go to the same place that I will go to? Or if you don't believe in anything, then maybe you part with people differently. Some people might accept it easier because they believe in certain things than others. Overall, some people can have different beliefs, and it can all just come down to the type of person you are and how you deal with things. Even if you believe that you'll see them again, maybe it doesn't necessarily make it easier just because you believe that people go somewhere and you'll go there too. Well, yeah, anyways, I enjoyed this video. I hope you guys did too. Make sure you check out the original channel. Will be linked down below where I got the video from. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out my live streams. Come hang out and chat if you would like, or just watch. It's fine. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.